And that brings us back around to the front of the train and the locomotive. I just thought this one, and I'm going to show some still photography at the end of this particular segment of the video of New Haven Alcos that appeared in that summer 2020 issue, I believe. If not, they're somewhere in that general family of photographs. Yes, they're in that same article from summer of 2020 in Classic Trains. But I just thought this would be great. I didn't want to use a GP9. This one is already there. It's manufactured by Gilbert. I didn't have to do any painting modifications. The only requirements I gave the vendor partner is that it be in good enough condition to be rebuilt and restored. And I did want the shiny black plastic version of this, and he was able to locate that. Some of the changes I made, I believe, not on this one, it must have been another one. I thought I had put a new stacked NH on this one, but I always maintained those in my inventory. Some of the things that I did during its rebuild, in addition to everything else that you're used to seeing in my videos, and if you want to see how I rebuild Alcos, my gosh, I've rebuilt enough of them that there's some out there. Nothing unusual in the rear truck, slide contact, of course. In the front truck, I substituted for the pull moors that came with this, which were vulcanized. I substituted from port lines the slotted pull moors, and I have not found anything better. I think it's one of the best things that ever happened to any Alco is putting on these slotted or grooved pull moor trucks. The pull moor protrudes just enough above the wheel, but the other thing I really like about it is you can buy spare tires for these. And it takes a little bit of work, but it's not impossible to remove an old tire and put a new one on. They do not need to be bonded. They fit so tight and so snug in that groove that I have never had any reason to bond them. So that was one big change. And you'll notice that this one is the double yoke. The outside clamp holds the motor assembly on. The inside clamp is used for the field. I did everything to this one I possibly could do. That is new brushes. I finely tuned the thrust. And I guess I'll go over that when I rebuild a 370 I've got sitting on the bench over here. I'll go back over the thrust plates. I think it's a large motor. Yeah, it's a large motor. You can see it protruding. You can see the laminations from the field protruding beyond the clamp. But I changed the brushes. I adjusted them. I double checked where the wire was connected. I think I did a better detailed job on this than I've ever done on any Alco. But the coup de grace on this one was I had the front truck rebushed. Before, it was loose. It was too loose. It made a grinding sound. It generated a pretty good amount of heat. Its run power, its pulling power, its thrust, its changing of thrust from forward to reverse, its response, its performance was just beneath my standards. It just didn't run really, really well. And I didn't realize until I had changed them in here and also changed them on my Santa Fe how much difference it makes to put rebushed trucks on these. And of course I had a vendor partner do these, and that was the reason I did that earlier video on the differences between large motor and small motor, the differences between single and double yokes. That's so important. I also did a little bit of different, I don't want to say different rewiring, but I double checked the wiring. One of the things I didn't do that I've never seen any reason to do so far, although I recently read an article that said, oh, you should change these. And I'm going to try to get them into the image. There are springs right there in the motor. You can see the coil on one of them that apply part of the pressure on the brushes. And I believe this author said, change them. Well, I don't agree. I've rebuilt these for 10 or 12 years, and I've yet to find one of those springs that underperformed. Now in steamers, where it has the slotted brushes, yes, I have found some that are broken. Never in one of these, and I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I just don't see any need of making change for the sake of change. And I'm not saying that's what the author did, but I don't think it should just be a routine thing, not without example. I'm going to show you some other adjustments I did to the brushes on this one for its performance. I'm just tickled to death with it. It pulls the head-end freight, the two black coaches, the third black coach that has the orange stripe, the shiny green, and the shiny red without any issue whatsoever. I can get it up to a steady state 70 miles an hour scale speed, very steady state, pulling that large of a consist with a single motor, and at 70 miles an hour scaled speed. It's just been a really, really pleasure to operate this on the layout. All right, thanks again for watching Dave's American Flyer Trains and this video series on this Cape Cod Flyer. Thanks to everyone who watched this video to the end. Please subscribe to the channel to see more of this content. Give a like or comment as you see fit. And above all, remember, the trains are the show.